She swore it was Pilates. Then I found the hotel key in her mat. If betrayal has a smell, I can describe it. Freesia cut with someone else's cologne and a faint plastic tang, the way heat wakes chemicals inside a keycard. I smelled it when I unrolled my wife's mat to wipe off the sweat she always forgets, and the card slipped out like a pressed flower. Bellecrest Hotel. Gold letters, embossed smile. Thursday, girls Pilates, Laura had told me, leaning in the doorway, ponytail high enough to pretend 26. She kissed me quick, one hand on my chest, the way people pat a dog before they leave so it knows they're coming back. The keycard flexed in my fingers like a lie that was proud of its posture. I turned it over, hopping it would suddenly become a gym membership or a coupon for soap. No room number, just the logo and a line that read, inhale, unwind, unremember, cute. If copywriters ever unionize with demons, that's the tagline they'll strike on. I should say, I am not jealous by profession. I teach history, which is mostly about other people's mistakes at a safe distance. We talk about empires the way you talk about a neighbor's yard, concerned but relieved the weeds aren't yours. Laura and I survived grad school in a studio apartment that sounded like a dishwasher trying to sing. We should have survived Pilates. I called my friend Cass, who runs the bar at the Bellecrest because she is allergic to quiet. Give me one reason this card is in my house, I said. Because your wife appreciates strong core muscles and expensive towels, she tried. When I didn't answer, she sighed the way people do when they realize the evening owes them overtime. Don't come in here swinging, Mark. If you want eyes, I'll be your eyes. If you want revenge, try fiction. What if I want the truth? Rough draft or final, she said. Either way, you'll need to see her before you decide what to be. Laura came home humming. She smelled like eucalyptus and borrowed time. She did not notice the key card because I'd slid it under the rubber fruit bowl where we keep notes to ourselves and the lemons we never use. We cooked together, knives tapping like polite applause. She told me about a new ad campaign, a junior designer with bangs who terrified everyone, and a playlist the instructor put on during cool down, whispering, breathe into your lower back, like breath understood directions. Pilates ends where? I asked, too neutral. In the studio, she said, smiling that offhand smile marriages live on. Then we get smoothies. Why? Just picturing your lower back, I said, and she laughed, warm and easy, and I wished I were the worst person in this story. Thursday, I went to the Bellecrest with the key card in my wallet and a sermon in my chest I prayed I wouldn't preach. The lobby smelled like warm money, bergamot, cedar, the absence of apologies. Cass saw me and did the bartender thing. She kept polishing a glass while her eyebrows asked questions. Sit, she murmured. Your shoulders are trying to carry the building. A couple in silk argued softly at the far end of the bar about oysters versus dessert like either would save them. A trio of men in suits let their laughter bounce off marble the way kids skip rocks. I ordered club soda and pretended it were something that could anesthetize a heart. You sure you didn't put that card in her mat yourself? Cass asked, light. Self-sabotage is the midlife sport of choice. Do I look like a man who prints hotel keycards for fun? You look like a man who hasn't eaten real food since 2009, she said, pushing a small bowl of almonds toward me. Then, softer, do you want to go upstairs or do you want to learn? I don't know the difference. Upstairs is an action, she said. Learning is a choice. I didn't have a plan for what I'd do if the key worked. You think you'll be righteous until you're in a hallway that smells like lemon oil and secrets. Then you're just a man trying to walk like you belong. A woman slid onto the stool beside me, set down a violin case, and asked for hot water with lemon, like she knew everyone else's choices and didn't envy them. She had the not quite famous face musicians where when their talent has currency but their names haven't caught up. Her hair was pinned up as if to teach gravity manners. She nodded at me, the way night shift people nod at each other simply for surviving. "You look like you're waiting for a permission slip," she said. "Maybe," I said, "or a sign that says turn back." "Those aren't real," she said, smiling into her lemon. "We just pretend they are so we can feel noble ignoring them." She introduced herself as Nile Resident Quartet and let me talk around my problem until the shape of it showed. When I reached the words Bellicrest keycard, her mouth tightened. Sympathy, not judgment. "This place," she said, "is a stage people rent for their second selves. Just don't mistake good lighting for destiny." "Do you perform," I asked, "or do you also rent?" She looked at me like I was a person she could forgive for being clumsy. "I play," she said, "and I go home." Cass dropped a napkin by my hand. On it in her quick angular script she'd written, "Rooftop Yoga Collab, 8:10, Spa After, 4th floor elevators." There was a small arrow as if she were composing a treasure map. "Public," she said aloud. "No keys required." I took the elevator to the 4th floor past a mural that thought it was a conversation. The spa lounge had the warm hush of expensive relaxation. Candles auditioned for perfume ads. A chalkboard easel read, "Tonight, restore and radiate." I wanted to throttle an adjective. I sat where I could see the door to the treatment rooms. Women in leggings and men in the kind of shorts that make vows looked both smug and tender with their fatigue. Then Laura walked in with two friends from the office, laughing like the day owed them interest. Her ponytail was lower now, looser. She wore a black tank that made promises on behalf of her shoulders. She looked, and this was the thing that knocked me out, young in a way she hadn't let me see in months. I didn't leap up and shout her name. Cowardice sometimes wears the same clothes as strategy. I watched as she hugged a man in a gray shirt I recognized from her stories as Dane, the instructor with the playlist and the impossible calves. He had the hands of someone who knew where he stood in a room without asking. His mouth landed 13% too close to her ear when he spoke. They moved toward the corridor. Laura's friends peeled off to the locker area, already untying their shoes with the sepulchral focus of people convinced they deserved to be pampered. Laura paused at a tall planter and checked her phone. She typed quickly and looked toward the bar hallway, as if waiting for a reply to walk out wearing a tuxedo. My phone vibrated. A message from Laura, "Running a little late, wait up. Be back by 11. If love were measurable, mine wobbled but held, like a table with a folded napkin under one leg. Dane touched Laura's elbow, a small proprietary hook that made something old and territorial snap awake inside me. They disappeared into the spa wing. The sign on the door said treatments. Another, smaller sign said private. I stood. The keycard in my wallet burned as if it had a sense of theater. I didn't have a room number, but the hallway to the private suites was secured by a reader, the kind that blinked like a bored eyelid. I pressed the card against it. It turned green, almost sheepish. Of course it did. Great copywriters make sure the props work. Inside, the air was cooler, more serious. The suites lined the corridor like good intentions. Some doors were ajar, soft music spilling out, harps, rain sounds, the sound of a woman thanking someone named God. I moved quietly, a student again, looking for a lesson I'd be able to unlearn. A door snicked shut a few yards ahead. Through it, a low male voice said something cheerful about tension. Laura's laugh answered, softer now, intimate from practice. I put a hand to the wood, felt the vibration of voices. I didn't press my ear. There are lines you draw for yourself so you'll recognize your face later. I backed away and took a different door. The massage suite directly across, slid inside and shut myself into the dim. In the mirror, I looked like a man auditioning for the role of husband at the edge. I sat on the little bench beneath the robe hooks, put my head in my hands and asked history for a precedent. When none arrived, I did the smaller, braver thing. I texted Laura. I wrote simply, "Are we okay?" I could imagine her phone lighting up inches from her face, my name landing in that quiet. I could imagine her throat tightening. Silence always measures longer inside rooms that smell like eucalyptus. A full minute passed. Then my screen lit. "Laura, I want us to be. Can we talk at home, please?" My mouth filled with heat and something like mercy. I typed, "Come out, now I'm here." The dots returned, panicked, then stopped. A door across the hall opened. I heard murmurs, the disguised politeness of improvisation. A woman in a robe slipped past my door and into the lounge like a dash in a sentence. Dane's voice tried to cajole the air and lost. When Laura stepped into the dim suite where I sat, she looked like a woman who had been reduced to the world she could carry in her hands. Phone, breath, and whatever she thought I'd do next. Her hair was up. A few strands had mutinied and curled at her neck. She pulled the robe tight like a modesty she had suddenly remembered. "You," she said, then stopped because the word didn't know where to land. "Mark." "Me," I said, because I didn't know how to be clever without becoming cruel. "Hi." Her eyes did the fast math of 1,000 small decisions. Then she crossed the room and sat beside me on the little bench, our knees not quite touching. She smelled like almond oil and the mint gum she uses when she's anxious. We looked at ourselves in the mirror of the suite, two people in a photograph no one had intended to take. "Nothing happened," she said, throat low with truth or the desire to be allowed that word. "Not yet." "I believe you," I said. I did, in the particular way you believe someone while also believing there was a version of tonight where you wouldn't have. "I wanted," she swallowed, "to feel watched, not judged, just seen. Desire is a bright light. Real life is lamp light, and I love lamp light, but I forgot the bright thing." "You can ask me," I said, "to turn the light up." "I was afraid you'd think it meant you weren't enough." I took her hand. She squeezed back hard like she was using the exact amount of force it takes to keep two people from floating away. "You can ask me for anything," I said. "I may say no, but then we'll know what no looks like, not just what a hotel smells like." She exhaled and it sounded like a drawer opening. "I'm sorry for the lie," she said. "I'm not sorry I wanted to feel dangerous again. I am sorry I outsourced it." We sat there letting the air build a bridge back. In the mirror, our faces softened into what I remembered, our private versions, the ones we don't sell to friends at brunch. I stood and pulled the robe off the hook and draped it around her shoulders even though she already wore one. It felt like armor layered over apology. "Come on," I said. "I'm stealing you from the spa." We didn't take the elevator. We took the stairs like teenagers avoiding authority. Back through the bar, Cass arched an eyebrow so high it could have set off the sprinklers, then shook her head, smiling like a bouncer at heaven. On the sidewalk, the city's humidity climbed up our necks the way a lover would if a camera weren't watching. We walked without speaking until the corner where the florist keeps dahlias out late. We stopped. "Tell me we're not going to let this turn into trivia night discussion," I said. "Tell me we'll do something ridiculous and private." Laura stepped closer, her robe tie poking from her tote like a secret. She set her palms flat on my chest and looked up in a way that once upon a time used to make all of my joint decisions. "Dance with me," she said. Right now, to nothing. So we did. On the corner, beneath a streetlight that flickered like a metronome, we swayed slow, my hand on the small of her back, her breath on my collarbone. It wasn't performative. It was an ordinary sensuality, the kind the internet doesn't know how to monetize. She brushed her cheek against mine and whispered, "Be the bright light." "I can be a dimmer switch," I murmured. "We'll figure out the rest." Back home, we didn't rush to forgiveness as if it were a prize on a game show. We ordered noodles and sat on the floor like undergrads. We made a list, not of rules but of invitations. A standing date that wasn't an obligation. A dare jar. Folded slips with tamer and wilder ideas, none that required a hotel. A new honesty clause where wanting was not a crime. When we finally kissed, it tasted like pepper oil and relief. We kept it YouTube friendly, the kind of scene that would make a comment section say, "Get a room," which technically we had. Clothes on. Hands curious but patient. To call it erotic feels too small. It was an argument our bodies won together. In the days after, we returned the keycard inside an envelope addressed to no one. No note, no flourish. We kept the mat, scrubbed it, blessed it with laughter and sweat we could identify. Dane sent Laura a breezy message about unfinished sessions. She did not reply. She blocked him without asking me for permission, not out of penance but preference. When she showed me the screen, we celebrated by making pancakes at 10 p.m., which I have learned is a ritual for choosing your own plot twist. Sometimes, on Thursdays, I meet her outside the studio and we walk past the Bellecrest on purpose. If the lobby smells like forgiveness, it's only because somebody put too much vanilla in the air vents. We brush shoulders and keep going. On our best nights, we end up on our building's roof with a portable speaker, a plastic bowl of strawberries, and the city leaning in to listen. She tells me what she wants in a voice that expects yes but can hold no. I tell her what I'm afraid of and try not to make jokes until the fear sits down. I know the story some people would prefer. Fury. A dramatic exit. A new woman with cheekbones and a hobby. But love, the way we practice it now, isn't a headline. It's a contract rewritten in pencil. It's cheeks flushed from dancing in the wrong shoes. It's finding a key in a mat and deciding to unlock your house instead. Sometimes Niall plays at a wine bar near the park. We go, hand under hand, and listen to the way she pulls longing out of strings without asking it to justify itself. When I tip her, she always gives Laura a small nod like an absolution, and me the look of a person who knows the difference between applause and return. And when we come home, there's no umbrella with another man's initials waiting by our door. Just us, and the mat rolled tight, and the smell of freesia from the candle Laura likes because it feels like spring even when it rains. We don't inhale to unremember anymore. We inhale so we don't forget who we decided to be.